Hi, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Real or Real, the Real or Real podcast.
The first of many!
Yay!
Maybe.
Probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm Bone Dragon, and I am joined by the lovely Pixie Dusted.
That's me.
And in this podcast, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to tell a story. And it could be a true crime story or a paranormal story, something like that. But the thing is that it's either going to be a real reported situation where people made reports of this, or it's going to be the storyline to either a TV show, a movie, or a video game, or a book or something.
That sounds amazing. I'm excited. Very interested. And of course, you listening can also try to figure out as we go along, is this real or real?
Let me tell you a story.
Alright, so for this first episode, I'm going to be telling you about a situation in a place called Castle Coldrano.
A situation, not the situation?
Well, it's...
Oh! I'm here to make the bad jokes.
That's okay. It's the only situation that Castle Coldrano... Well, it's the only one that's documented. Because I'm pretty sure that these people do not want to be known for stuff like this.
Where is Castle Coldrano?
So, Castle Coldrano is in a town called Laches, Italy.
Oh, okay.
It is on the border of, or it's near the border in Italy of Austria and Poland. So, it's pretty close to that.
Okay.
So you have...
Okay, I say as in like, oh, I've been to Italy. I know the geography. I do not.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, it's probably going to be a It's almost like the area that Pinocchio takes place.
Oh.
Where it's...
I thought Pinocchio was German.
It's Italy.
No, Snow White is German. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's Italy. But it's still got that kind of Polish or, Austrian feel to the area, which is why stories like Pinocchio are really, confusing about where they take place. But yeah, they're Italy. That's it. This is an Italian story.
Okay.
All right.
Just like my Nona would tell me. I'm not Italian, so I don't have a Nona. Go ahead.
So, Castle Coldrano was built in 15th century in Laches, Italy, like I said, near the border of Austria. I keep wanting to say Australia. Near the border of Austria.
I live in Italy, mate.
Too right. Try another shrimp on the bobby, eh? Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh, the cultural
I'm not going to do that again.
Is horrible.
I'm not going to do that again.
Okay, stop. Okay.
Focus. Anyway, focus.
Reel it back. Reel it in. Let's go.
Okay. So it was built in the 15th century by the... sorry, I almost screwed this up. The Czech nobles.
So the 15th century would be the 1400s?
1600s.
1600s.
Yeah.
I always get confused on which way that goes.
Yes. Yeah, it's 1600s. The other way. 1600s.
Okay. By some noble. Gotcha.
Right. By the Czech nobles, who were a family of nobility in that area, and it wasn't meant to be a fort or anything like that, which a lot of castles at that time were built for those reasons, to be a military post. But that's not what this is. This was meant to be a home for the nobles of the area, whoever those nobles were. During the 17th century, though, the Hindle family bought the castle and they did a major renovation of it.
Okay, so are we getting to like the meat of the story?
We're going
Eventually.
to.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to keep track of time. So we're in the 1800s. So like
Yeah.
that's not that long ago. Okay. So
Right.
So all right. I'm trying to keep track of like, technology wise what's going on and
Right.
culturally and what's going on in the world. Okay.
Well,
1800s.
one thing to keep in mind is that the Hindle family was known as sort of a they're almost like house flippers now.
Oh, okay.
They would buy a castle, renovate it, and then sell it.
Wow, I did not know house flipping went that far back.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 1863, the Hindles sold the castle to the blah blah blah.
To the Menendez brothers. Ba-dum-ching.
If only.
Okay.
No, they sold the castle to the I'm having such a hard time saying this word. Municipality.
Oh, that's not nearly as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
No, I mean,
Okay, go
basically
ahead.
they just sold it back to they sold it to the city.
Yeah.
It had been private owners up to this point, and then in 1863, the Hindles sold it to Laches, and Laches basically made it into a school and a shelter for parishioners, so like monks and people who were members of the church.
Okay.
That's what that was. Currently, the castle is used as a community center, and they like a really high-end community center. They regularly host exhibitions, conferences, and stuff like that. They also, if you flew over there right now, if it's a Thursday, you could actually take a tour of the castle. Okay? Which brings us to, it is now 2005. All right, so the police get a phone call from someone saying that Coldrano Castle is having some problems. And he believes that the castle probably has some unwanted visitors.
Ants. He means ants, right?
Ants and, rats and
Yeah.
hippies.
Yeah, because nobody wants hippies.
No. A few weeks prior to the call, the staff began hearing banging sounds, moaning, doors slamming, things being thrown around, blah, 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 stuff like that, right? So the manager, Antonio, decided to look into it himself and stayed at the castle overnight for a few nights.
As one would do. That makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you want to see it
Figure
for
out
yourself.
what's going on.
Yeah. So the first night was fairly quiet. Nothing happened. He just stayed in the castle. It was, okay. The second night, though, as he was laying in bed about to drift off, he heard a bang resound throughout the halls. Okay. He gets up to investigate and steps out of the room. And eventually he began to feel a wind blowing past him. So he reaches the end of the hall and he saw that there was a window open. So he's like, all right, cool. But that's not normal because the staff is always really good about making sure all the windows are closed, doors are locked, all that other good stuff, okay? So he puts his flashlight down on a table, goes over to the window to go close the window. And as he's about to close that window, he looks down, and in the courtyard below him, he sees a woman dressed in white, just standing there. And he's like, what the hell is that? And then that's when she looks up at him, and just starts staring at him.
Why are they always dressed in white?
I don't know.
When I'm a ghost, I want to be like dressed in like polka dots.
But here's the thing, though. They're not always dressed in white.
Gray,
I'm
green,
pretty sure,
white.
I'm sure
Those are like the top three.
You've heard about the lady in brown and everything, and,
Yeah, but gray, green, and white are like the top three.
Well, yeah. Because, everybody's got to have one. It's almost like that story of like, oh, put baby powder on the back of your car and like just take your brakes off.
The handprints.
Yeah,
the children will push you up the hill.
Yeah, everybody.
Every town has that
town
road.
in America has that story. Hell,
Yeah.
the world. The whole world has that story. It's like a situation like that. But,
I'm telling you, polka dots. When
Polka
I'm a
dots?
ghost, I'm going to be dressed in polka dots, and I'm going to bust into the room saying, "It's Brittany, bitch!"
you know what I want?
No more of these stupid 1800 ghosts in white or gray or green. No, but what do you want?
I want a sheet with a nice houndstooth pattern.
Very Beetlejuice ghost.
Oh, yeah, because then I can come into the room and be like, "What are you doing in here? You little punks, get out of my house." Hey. All right, so
back to it. Lady in white
sees
looks
this
up
woman.
at her.
He
looks up at
sees
him.
this woman. She looks up at him. And, of course, he's like, what the hell? And he runs back, grabs his flashlight, runs back to the window, and when he comes back, she's gone. No sign of her anywhere. Couldn't see her in shadows or anything like that. He's flashing his flashlight around, didn't see her. So he runs downstairs, runs out into the courtyard, and he's looking for any signs that anybody had been there. Footprints, stuff knocked over, windows or doors open or anything like that. Just trying to listen. And the only thing that he finds are the doors are all locked. No windows are open into the building or anything like that. It doesn't look like anyone was there at all. Okay? But the thing is that Antonio's the kind of guy who's like, he considers himself a practical man. So he doesn't believe in ghosts. He's doesn't
a skeptic.
Yeah, he's a skeptic. He doesn't believe any of that.
All right.
So he's thinking, how the hell did someone get into the castle? So he's going around the castle trying to figure out what the hell that was, where did they come from, and why are they making a wreck of his castle in the middle of the night? All right, now let's switch over to a nice, lovely couple that live here in Laches. Let's meet Frank and Apollina.
Hello, Frank and Apollina.
Apollonia.
Appaloosa?
I said it wrong. Apollonia.
Abalone. Anemone!
Oh, God, here we go again.
Nobody's going to get that.
No.
Nobody's.
I mean, we
Yeah.
could explain it if we want to.
I've tried to name every single one of the children Anemone, and it's always been shot down by my significant other that's not an appropriate name for a child.
It's not.
Okay, so Frank and
All right, so Franco and Apollonia.
Franco and Apollonia.
Yes, they are a married couple that live near Laches. And Franco works as a groundskeeper at Coldrano. He was really happy there, loved the job. He loved being able to work with the people that he worked with and help to take care of this castle. He really felt like that he was helping with history, you know. But it was hard work. It was hard work, and it took a lot of hours. You know, depending on what needed to be done, he could be getting home pretty late at night. So Apollonia was glad that Franco liked his job, but she wasn't really happy with the idea of her husband being gone most of the day, you know. Plus, when he did come home, he was really worn out, which pretty much made him completely useless to her,
Well, yeah, like landscaping, gardening. That's hard work. That's hard manual labor. That
Yeah, it
makes
is.
sense.
But I mean, she pretty much was like, okay, he really he loves his job, plus it brings in good money. I'm not going to complain too much, And one day, Franco arrived early in the morning for work, just like he always does, and he finds Antonio there. And apparently, Antonio, had not slept at all that night. He was checking all the doors, the locks, and the entrances, and all that other good stuff. And eventually, Franco was able to convince Antonio to go home. He's like, listen, you go home, get some sleep. While I'm doing my job, I'll keep an eye out and see if there's anything amiss. And I'll let you know what's going on, okay? Just go ahead and go home. So that's what they do. And nothing happens through the day. So that night, Antonio came back to stay another night. And he was very, 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 very motivated to get behind what was going on in this situation. So there was no way he was sleeping tonight. He was like, okay, I'm going to be up all night. I'm going to figure out what the hell's going on here.
He's ready. He's got his EMF reader. He's got a recorder for EVPs.
Well,
he's
not
got
yet.
a Boo Buddy.
Not yet.
He's got the Alice box.
He's got the infrared cameras.
Yeah.
He's got that weird little bell thing that goes ding.
Oh, the spirit, but he's got the dead bell.
Yeah, all that stuff, right? No, he doesn't.
None of that.
It's 2005. None of that stuff is used for ghost hunting yet.
No.
I don't know, is it? When did ghost hunters become a thing?
Near that time?
That's actually a really good question. I don't know.
But I think like in the beginning, it was just like EMF readers because like that's an actual thing. Electricians use that. Digital recorders for catching EVPs, thermal cameras because those also have other uses besides ghost hunting. Which one of the uses for thermal cameras is to detect leaks? Like in the walls and ceilings, like water leaks.
Yeah, in pipes and leaks and walls and whatnot.
And it can also give you, like, if you're using it for ghost hunting, it can give you false readings because it's detecting those leaks in the walls and in the ceilings.
Yeah.
And you think it's an apparition.
Yeah, I mean, that's
But
one.
they didn't have, like, the fancy gimmicky stuff back then like they do now, like the Alice box, spirit box.
I mean, all of that stuff
yeah.
was intended for other purposes. It just got co-opted into the idea of ghost hunting.
Yeah, so it would have just been like maybe a digital recorder.
Well, I mean, you also have to look at it this way. Antonio does not believe this stuff. He thinks someone is breaking into the castle to sneak around the place and cause a bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
So that's his line of thinking. I need to catch this person so we could stop what they're doing. And so, no, he doesn't have any equipment with him other than his flashlight.
He's got his flashlight. Yeah.
So when Antonio got there, that's when some of the other staff started letting him know, hey, the activity is escalating. It's not just banging anymore. Now we're hearing moans, and we're getting these. It's almost like the banging is happening a lot more now. So we don't know what's going on, but it's starting to freak some people out. So Antonio's starting to feel the pressure to get this thing figured out. He doesn't know what's going on. He wants to, get to the bottom of it. That night, Franco decided to stay as well.
Ooh.
So you've got Antonio.
Appaloosa's not going to be happy about that.
Appaloosa. Apollonia?
Oh, yeah. That's what I said.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Franco decided to stay, and he called his wife to let her know.
As you should.
As you should.
People worry.
That way, their chances of catching whoever this is would double, because you got two people looking out instead of just one.
Well, also, from their perspective, they're thinking, it's an intruder, if not more.
Right.
So, safety in numbers, maybe it's like a whole group of people breaking in, or like a group of kids, or, whatever.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It makes sense, yeah.
That's what they're kind of worried about with this. But, okay, so Franco decides to stay along with them, and they're not sleeping tonight at all. They're walking the grounds, they're walking the buildings and everything, and seeing if anybody's trying to break in. It didn't take long, though, and soon the men heard a door slam somewhere in the castle. And it was hard to tell where from, though, because sound echoes through the halls of this castle really, really well. So they're basically chasing after echoes, trying to figure out where the hell all this noise is coming from. But the thing is that it keeps moving around.
I just picture like this big long hallway full of doors and them like just running in and out of the doors like a Scooby-Doo scene.
I know, right?
It's over here. No, it's over here. No, it's over here.
Somebody kick on the 60s, beach rock.
Yeah.
And we can get
Scooby-Doo
this.
chase scene.
Where'd this Great Dane come from? I don't know.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-oh, Raggy. All right, so as they were searching, they started to hear moans joining in with the door slams and the knocks and the racket and everything like that, right? So soon, the men meet up, and they trace the sound to a room, like one specific room. But when they entered the room, they found nothing. The room was empty from aside from a couple pieces of furniture, but no one was there. So Franco and Antonio decided to call it for the night and head home. And this happened for about a week, with Antonio and various volunteers hanging out at the castle to try to find the source of the sounds. But whenever they would hear something and look, they never found anyone there. That's when Antonio decided to call the police. After hearing the story, 2 police officers showed up and looked around the property for anything at all, any signs of anything. And after finding nothing amiss, the officers decided to go high-tech. They called their tech guy, who set up cameras and sound recorders throughout the castle. Okay?
Oh, we gonna get some EVPs now?
Possibly. You never know.
Maybe a
I guess
full-body
we'll find out.
apparition on the X-Cam.
So then Antonio, Franco, and the police waited. And sure enough, the sound of doors slamming started kicking up, and the haunt was beginning. Loud moans, knocks, creaks, you name it. It was absolutely going all in this time. Like whatever it was angry. Antonio jumped up to chase after, but one of the officers stopped him. Because the cops wanted the ghost to basically have, I say ghost in parentheses.
Air quotes.
Air quotes. For those of you who can't see, I'm air quoting right now.
No, you're not. You're flipping everybody off.
Sure. Because that's my love language.
Yeah.
All right, so the cops wanted the ghost to basically have free reign of the castle. That way they could finally see what it was. So they all huddled around the CCTV monitors to watch and see. And for like the longest time, they kept hearing these noises and bangs and whatnot. And finally, one of the monitors started to show a shadow looming in a doorway. And it began to grow taller, as if it were standing from a prone position. Suddenly, a woman's head poked out from the doorway. Then she stepped fully into the hall, slamming the door behind her. She began running down the hall at amazing speed. I mean, these guys were like, holy crap, how the hell is this older lady running this fast?
Vampire.
I guess, we'll see. But she began running down the hall at this, oh my God, speed, and disappeared into another room, moaning loudly the entire time. So the 5 men, the 2 cops, the tech guy, Franco, and Antonio, they all just kind of stopped and looked at each other like, what the hell was that? And, I guess they figured out that it's not a ghost. Well, who the hell is it?
And Antonio's like, see, I told you it was a real person.
Yeah.
You guys said I was crazy for being a skeptic, but I told you.
Well, one of them recognized this woman.
Was it Appaloosa?
Franco sheepishly spoke up and said that he knew exactly who it was. Yeah, so the next morning, Franco arrived home, and Apollonia was like, oh, my husband, you are home. Did you have a good night or whatnot? Except Franco wasn't alone.
Uh-oh.
The cops came with him.
Busted.
And they arrested Apollonia. In court, she was found guilty of trespassing and creating a public nuisance. So, come to find out, because she did finally confess to all of this, that she was nowhere near as happy with Franco working there as much as he did as she was putting on.
Oh.
She was like livid over the fact that she was basically having to spend her days at home alone. So her plan was, I'm going to go up there and start haunting the castle while my husband is asleep.
But, of course, that's like the normal thing to do.
Of course.
Anybody would have done that instead of saying, oh, I should, maybe take my husband lunch today so I could see him for a while. No, my first thought is, I'm going to go haunt this castle.
Or even, hey, Franco, listen, I know that you're happy working there, but this is kind of tough for me. I just feel like we should talk about this.
Yeah, this is like the height of communication issues in a relationship.
No, she absolutely just decided that she was just going to start tearing up a dress, putting on the white flower makeup, and heading up to the castle to, I think you said it best, the Scooby-Doo ass shit that she was planning.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
If it weren't for those meddling
If it weren't for those meddling police officers, I would have gotten away with it. But she knew that, Franco really liked this job, so she didn't want to give him too much shit. So...
Well, yeah, she didn't want to be the bad guy.
Right.
She didn't want to be the one being like, I really don't want you to be at work all the time. So
Right.
she was just, I'm going to manipulate the situation and sabotage his job instead, because, that's healthy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. But her plan was, to scare tourism away from the castle.
She obviously doesn't know anything about how popular haunted locations are.
Right. I mean, that comes along later, But,
I think it was starting to kind of
it was starting
ramp
to kick
up
off.
in 2005.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much in Italy, but definitely in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing is I don't know when it started in Italy. I don't know if it was the same timeline as us or if they were like England where it's always been a thing. I don't know,
Yeah.
But basically that was her plan. This Scooby-Doo ass, plan of I'm going to scare away the visitors so that I can have more time with my husband.
Wow.
What the hell, man?
Wow.
What the hell? So she went to court and she was found guilty of trespassing and creating a public nuisance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she wound up getting 4 months in jail.
So she got a 4-month vacation away from her husband.
Yeah.
Instead of more time with him.
All right, Pixie. So that is the story. Now, do you think that this is real or real?
I feel like this is not too far-fetched. Like, I feel like this could be real. So I'm going to go with real. R-E-A-L. This is a real story. This actually happened. Poor Appaloosa, even though she was crazy.
Apollonia?
Sure. Why can't I remember her name?
I don't know. See,
Okay.
whenever I hear Apollonia, I just think of The Godfather.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
The character that gets blown up in The Godfather.
yeah.
But yeah, so this was a real situation that happened. This Scooby-Doo fucking plot that someone thought up
Wow.
really happened. This is a situation that happened in Laches, Italy. I changed people's names, which is something that it's going to be good practice for this show.
Oh yeah. Names. Sometimes you might have to change places too.
Yeah.
Like names and places might have to be changed
Yeah.
just to not give it away completely right off the bat.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But I had to change names. So this really did happen. And in 2005 in Laches, Italy. And you could actually go to Castle Coldrano's website, and they don't talk about this at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Our gardener's crazy wife tried to haunt the castle.
I mean, they're still they're still in business. They're still running it like they're supposed to. Plus, yeah. So that was pretty crazy.
That was fun.
You like
That
that?
was so much fun. Yes.
right.
I very much enjoyed that.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I hope everybody else enjoyed that as well. Did you get it right? You out there? Did you figure out? Was it real or real?
Probably.
Probably.
I think our listeners are pretty smart, so
Yeah.
they would know about this.
Yeah.
But all right, everybody. So that is the first episode of the Real or Real podcast. Hope that you enjoyed it.
Did
I
it
know I
reel
did.
you in? Oh God! The
Oh, jeez.
real
Here we
puns
go.
are going to be just. The real puns are going to be why people don't come back.
Yeah, probably, but that's okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you around.
Catch you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.